In this session of Clinical Bioinformatics, we will get a little bit more technical. Working with file formats is an important skill in bioinformatics. In this session, we will return to the family history example and use that as an exercise in working with a file format. We'll go back to My Family Health Portrait and open the XML file that we created earlier. Through that process, we simply select the file and then click Open. And you can see that the application completely populates with the information that we documented in the earlier session. So how did the application know where to put the information from the file into the application? It did this using what's called a markup language. Every markup language has some common attributes, including the use of tags, which are enclosed with the open and close caret symbol, and then the content goes between the tags. And then a markup language uses what's called nesting. So in this example, we have tags for patient ID, and then an additional set of tags for patient name. So the patient name is nested inside the patient ID tags. Another important part of a markup language is formalization of how we describe attributes. So for example, the SNOMED CT coding system can be used to describe the conditions in a family history. XML, or the extended markup language, is one of the most important types of markup language that's used to store data that's important for bioinformatics. XML is used as a framework for exchanging information between multiple platforms, including devices, browsers, databases, and software applications. Every XML file format utilizes a standard structure. That structure for each topic, for example family history, is described by a file called a document type definition, or a DTD. The DTD describes the tags that are utilized within an XML file format. For exchanging clinical information, Health Language 7 version 3.0 is XML based. The family history representation that we'll be using is the HL7 format for family history. There are a couple of ways to view an XML file. You can certainly begin by opening the file with a standard text editor, such as Notebook in a Windows setting. But you can see here that when you open an XML file here, the format is definitely not user-friendly, and it is very difficult to navigate the XML content as shown in Notepad. A better way to view XML content is to open a new tab in Google Chrome and then drag your XML file into that tab. And as you see here, the XML is automatically displayed, this time in a much more accessible format. So let's take a closer look at the XML file. Every XML file begins with what's called a header information, which is simple standard descriptive information. And then as we navigate through, we can see groups of tagged headings. And let's work our way down to a subject. So we can see here some of the subject information, including clinical conditions and values such as the display name and the SNOMED code for hypertension. We can see the age of onset, and then here we can see that the value unit is years. We'll see in a second that a different value unit is used for another patient in the family history. If we scroll down to the child that we documented earlier in a separate session with cystic fibrosis, when we go to that child's information, we see that the entry for cystic fibrosis does not have a SNOMED code, because you might remember that there was not a existing value for cystic fibrosis. So it uses the default of other. And then here, because this is a child, the value is days instead of years, and so we can see the number of days that the system considers to be an infant. And you can also see the name that we added for that child shown in this last tagged entry for that representative. So in this session, we've gone much more technical and learned how to open an XML file and navigate some of the tagged headings for that file.